What's up everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. Today I'm going to be installing an all-new rear suspension in the 240SX along with a set of custom axles. Last week's video focused on finishing up the front suspension, so if you haven't checked that out, be sure to, the link is in the description box below. This video is actually the fourth video in a multi-part rear end rebuild series that I've been working on for, what seems like forever now. At this point, I've refurbished the subframe, the differential's been fully rebuilt, and I ditched the open diff for an S15 helical limited slip diff. There's a lot of stuff to go over in this video, but this is the last thing that I have to do before we can get the car on the ground, get it aligned, and drive it for the first time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Just like the front, the rear suspension needed a whole lot of work. It wouldn't surprise me if the bushings and ball joints were original to the car because of how bad they were dry rotted and cracking. The ball joints were leaking grease and there was a ton of play. Because you can still get all of this stuff directly from Nissan, I decided to just order brand new control arms instead of trying to refurbish the original equipment. They came with everything that I needed. The only other thing that I changed was swapping out the rubber bushings for poly bushings. I did the same thing with the lower control arms in the front. Unfortunately, you can't get these little plastic protective shields anymore, but thankfully mine were in good enough shape to just reuse. Next on the agenda is removing the hub assembly and dust shield from the knuckle. Along with replacing those 4 hub mounting bolts, I'm going to replace the bushings and give the knuckle a fresh coat of paint to make it look like new and give it some extra corrosion protection. Removing bushings is not a fun task whatsoever. There's different tools that you can buy or rent at a local auto parts store to accomplish this task, and sometimes a ball joint removal tool will also do the same thing, but I was having a hard time finding a compatible tool to get these out, so what I ended up doing was probably a little unconventional, but hey, it worked. I already had a press from a ball joint kit, and upon closer inspection, the end was the perfect size to accept these bushings. So I took a socket that had the same diameter as the inner metal sleeves of the bushings, strapped up the impact wrench, and pushed it out from there. I had to trim a little rubber here and there, but for the most part, it all came out pretty easy. Again, the condition of all of this stuff was pretty poor, so now it's out with the old and in with the new. First things first, I gave the knuckles that fresh coat of paint. But before I did that, I prepped the surface by cleaning thoroughly with soap and water and a mild degreaser. I also took some light sandpaper and went through the bores where the bushings came out just to make sure everything was smooth and ready for paint. My initial plan early on was to replace the stock rubber bushings with poly bushings, but as I dove deeper into the project, I shifted direction a little bit and decided to upgrade the majority of the chassis with components from SBL parts. Some of which include these sweet rear knuckle monoball bushings. They feature FK racing bearings with self-cleaning and lubricating Teflon liners and CNC machined billet aluminum bearing shells. The spherical bearings eliminate the flex typically associated with rubber bushings while reducing binding tendencies and friction. They also help maintain optimum suspension geometry when under load to improve handling and feedback. Plus, it only seemed fitting to get these because the SBL Control Arms that I got use FK bearings for the rod ends, so now everything will complement each other. Installation is super straightforward. If you wanted to make things a tad easier, you can put the kit into a freezer overnight, and that'll shrink the bushings ever so slightly just to make insertion a tad easier. You can also take a rubber hammer to get things started, and possibly even hammer it most of the way, but a press is going to really come in handy. I didn't have any other special tools aside from that. Again, I just used an appropriate size socket and it was perfect for fitting those bushings. If you've been following this project for a while now, then you likely already know about the built Ep.21 that I have for the car. I'll be working on swapping the engine in sometime this summer. But before I do that, I need to strengthen the driveline to make sure everything is going to be able to withstand all of the power. I've already installed an S15 helical limited slip differential, which is going to give better torque control and traction out back. Now it's time to install a pair of custom axles that are significantly beefier than the ones that originally came on the 240 and are able to withstand upwards of 600 horsepower. Before I can install the axles, there's an adapter plate that needs to be bolted onto the flange that goes into the differential. I talked about this axle flange during my differential rebuild, but just a quick recap, if you plan on doing an S15 helical diff swap into your 240, there's specific axle flanges that you needed because the ones that came originally in the car have a different spline count. If you'd like to learn more about the diff swap and all the other things that you need, I have a link in the top right hand corner of the video and in the description box below. With the adapter plate in place, all I have to do is take the flange, line up the splines, and press it into the differential. Takes just a little bit of pressure, but it'll click in place and stay nice and secure. I've already talked about this some in the past couple of videos, but I was really concerned with the condition of the aftermarket control arms that are already in the car. When I pulled them out and started looking at them more closely, I noticed that the bushings were already starting to crack and even tear in some spots, which didn't make any sense to me because they've only been in the car for about a year and they've never seen any form of serious abuse. So I took this as a lesson that, sometimes it's worth saving money a little bit longer and getting some really high quality stuff the first go around, because at the end of the day, it's all about safety and the control of your car, so it's definitely important. SBL makes some of the highest quality suspension components on the market. When you open that box for the first time, you really start to understand why. I got their full suite of control arms front and rear and some other goodies as well, including this eccentric lockout kit. It replaces the stock eccentric bolts, which are provided by Nissan to allow for small adjustments to both camber and toe when it comes to aligning the vehicle. Now, when you're swapping to aftermarket adjustable control arms, you don't need these bolts anymore, and there's two primary reasons why. The aftermarket control arms offer a far greater range of adjustability for both camber and toe, and you can control the alignment far more precisely. The other thing is that, while a small risk, the eccentric bolts do run a risk of slipping, especially when cornering hard. Now, when you're on a track, that's the last thing that you want, any unexpected alignment changes. So the lockout kit eliminates those slip tendencies. As long as the arms are set up correctly, the rear end alignment should not change after everything is said and done. A good thing to remember is that a lot of suspension components actually need to be torqued once the vehicle is back on the ground, but because we're not dealing with any rubber parts anymore, all of these can be torqued when it's still up in the air to make things a little bit easier, because once it's back on the ground, obviously you have a lot less clearance to work with. But double check the factory service manual if you have one. If you don't, I highly suggest getting one because it outlines all of that type of stuff that you need to do. With the control arms set up and out of the way, it's time to make some real progress as the rear end finally starts to come back together. First, it's a matter of taking the wheel hub and the brake dust shield and putting it all back on the knuckle. I'm using new hub mounting bolts, putting a little Loctite on them, and then torquing them down to specification. With that out of the way, I can move on to fitting the new axles. Honestly, this was my least favorite part of the whole rear end rebuild. The axles are super cool, super beefy, and they're going to really come in handy when the car is actually putting down meaningful power, but installation was not fun. The biggest issue I was running into was clearance. A lot of this stuff has to be put back together in a very specific order, otherwise you can't get the right tools in there to torque everything down to specification. Somehow I managed to get all of the axle bolts torqued down, which I was really happy about, but if I ever have to remove this hub assembly, it's going to be super inconvenient because I not only have to take off the brakes and calipers, but I'm going to have to remove the knuckle assembly again because, unlike the 240's original axle, I can't get access to the hub mounting bolts from the back anymore because the new axle is so thick. So, a little bit of a trade-off, convenience for performance, but it's okay. These hubs are basically brand new, so should be fine for quite a while. With a light finally at the end of the tunnel, I can go ahead and start putting all this mess back together. First, I gotta refit the caliper. It's a single piston caliper, part of my big brake system that actually integrates a parking brake. I had to get a new cable made, but I was still able to use the original rubber sheathing, which is nice. I also used new brake clips and hardware, so everything fits just as tight as it would have been when the car was brand new. I also took it one step further to ensure the rubber sheathing was protected for the long term by wrapping the whole thing in flexible wire conduit. These axles share some components with different vehicles, and on the 240, they don't account for the use of a cotter pin with the axle nut, so the only thing that you can do is Loctite it, torque it down to specification, and I'm going to do a little bit more by putting a mark of paint just to make sure that everything stays tight after a little bit of driving. The last major thing I had to do before I could get the car on the ground and start looking things over to do final torque is rebuild the rear sway bar. I did the same thing with the front sway bar. Basically, instead of going an aftermarket route right now, I decided to just take what I had and rebuild it from there to give it a little bit of extra stiffness, but have ease of installation and just explore potential aftermarket options later on if needed. I got the sway bar powder coated so it looks nice and fresh, and I replaced the rubber bushings with poly bushings. I also got poly bushings for the end links and rebuilt everything from scratch using Nissan genuine parts. Now for the moment I've been waiting for quite a while now. Let's go ahead and put the wheels on temporarily, get the car back on the ground, and check things over. I showed these quick jacks way early on in this suspension rebuild series, and I've been super impressed with them so far. They're basically portable hydraulic lifts, and they feel a lot safer than jack stands. They also go up quite a bit higher. They've been up in the air for 4 months, haven't moved at all, just hooked them back up, hit the button, and they came back down with ease. It's a really sweet setup. When it comes to rubber and polyurethane bushings, it's important to torque all of that stuff down when the car is back on the ground. I've already torqued down the metal bushings when it was up in the air, but now that it's back on the ground, I can tackle things like the lower control arms, the anti-roll bars, ball joints, and more. Well, I almost cannot believe the day is finally here where this car is back on the ground, aligned, and driving. It's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited, and I hope you guys are too. If the car drives half as good as this suspension looks, it's going to be a real treat. It's taken a tremendous amount of time and effort to get up to this point, but it's going to be well worth it in the end. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for supporting me throughout all of this. I really appreciate it. Now that the suspension has been completely rebuilt, the next video will be getting it back on the ground, taking it to the alignment shop, and driving it for the first time. I'm super excited. Again, if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to, because there's a lot more where that came from. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like below. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.